All right, I am very pleased to introduce to you our next speaker. And Karen, thanks for the intro to fall prevention and handrails and things that we need at home to be safe. That was a great lead-in. I've been lucky enough to be friends with Patty Zuba in occupational therapy for over 40 years. Patty is one of the most respected therapists that we have at University of Michigan. She's been an occupational therapist for 36 years, a graduate of Wayne State University, and received her Bachelor of Science degree in occupational therapy. Patty's been in Michigan medicine for the past 34 years. You forgot to say wonderful 34 years. While at Michigan Medicine, she's been the occupational therapy clinical specialist in spinal cord injury on the rehab unit. Patty has a lot more expertise than just spinal cord injury, and it's going to apply to all of us, what she shares today. Patty has presented at Michigan OT Association, the American OT Association, and various other national conferences. She's a member of the Advisory Council for Persons with Spinal Cord Injury at University of Michigan in the Model Spinal Cord Injury Program, and Hollister's Clinical Advisory Board for Continence Care. So Patty's going to talk to us about aging in place at home. And I did mention earlier there will be 2 handouts at lunch. One is going to be this magazine from AARP. It's called the Home Fit Guide. Lots of great information about checking out your own home and tips to do so safely and effectively. These are available for free for AARP members online. So if you don't get one today, feel free to order one. But I thank AARP for the donation of the 75 that we got. And they also have checklists and other information online besides just the booklet. There will also be a 2-sided handout that's a checklist from the American OT Association about aging in place at home. So there are plenty of those, and they'll be out at the table also where you checked in. I am very happy to introduce to you Patty Zuba. Take it away.
Thank you very much for asking me to be here today. And I do want to say thank you for the lead-in with preventing falls and taking care of yourself and taking care of your home so that you can live there as long as you can, okay? Basically today, I can't stand behind the podium, sorry. Okay. Okay, that's better. Basically today I want to just talk a little bit about typical aging issues that occur that can affect your independence with your daily activities within your home. It might include limitations because of hearing, vision, physical capabilities, or cognitive deficits. I want to identify strategies and tips for maximizing safety and aging in place. And I also want to identify some home accessibility assessments and universal design principles that kind of talk about a person's home and making sure that they're safe within the home. And then finally, provide a lot of different recommendations for equipment and resources to maximize your activities of daily living. That's what ADL stand for, and self-reliance. Just a few facts about homes. A home can be suitable for any resident of any age, life stage, or physical ability. An adult who wants to live independently, despite their changing abilities or needs that occur as they're getting older, can make their home lifelong. And a lot of times people think, oh, if I make my home accessible, it's going to be so expensive, or it's going to need so much equipment. And a lot of times it's just some very basic things that allow you to do that. AARP surveys consistently find that older adults want to remain in their current homes and communities for as long as possible. And unfortunately, Americans' housing stock doesn't necessarily fit the rapidly changing and rapidly aging population. Most houses and apartments are basically designed for young, able-bodied individuals, and they don't necessarily meet the older generation's needs. Most housing units were built more than generations ago to serve the population of family households, which generally consisted of 2 parents and at least 2 or 3 children. America is a nation in which the dominant household type, about 30%, consists of a single adult living alone. And another 20% of Americans reside in homes that are occupied by 3 or more generations. So it might be the grandparent, the adult, child, and grandchildren, all under one roof. And they're projecting by 2030, 1 in 5 people in the US will be age 65 or over, and it's projected that by 2034, such older adults will outnumber children under 18 for the first time ever. So it's happening. What is a disability? According to the Americans with Disabilities Act, it's basically, and this is only a partial list, but it's things like mobility impairments, hearing impairments, visual impairments, chronic alcoholism, mental illness, could be HIV, AIDS, and any related complexes, or mental retardation. And also included in that is cognitive deficits. What is a home modification? Basically, home modifications can, if you need caregiver support, it can be reduced by 40% if you do a home modification. That's a lot. And if you need assistance and you have to pay for that out of pocket, which many of our insurances don't cover, that is a huge amount. So a small amount paid for a home mod could definitely give you much more independence. Home modifications have been found to positively impact independence. It creates autonomy so that you can still remain in your home. It maximizes your daily activities, and it keeps you independent. And then it also maximizes your well-being because you're living in your home and hopefully you don't have to rely on other people. A lot of times home modifications help people with different needs. Environmental interventions can help support activity within the home. They can help older adults maintain their independence. And a lot of times physical changes occur as we age, and it's a slow process. We don't even many times notice it. But a lot of times if you pay attention, you can definitely enable aging in place. Let's start from the beginning, getting into the house, okay? Looking at your exterior doorways, it should be a smooth transition to get in and out of the house. You know, looking at, are there steps? Is there a sidewalk? Is there uneven sidewalks? The ideal home should have at least one 0-step exterior doorway. So it's important. In a lot of houses, I do a lot of home evaluations for patients, and the likelihood of having a zero entry is minimal to zero. So the other important thing that's necessary is having a plan for when you're most vulnerable. And if you think about it, when are you most vulnerable? When you're in bed, sleeping, and let's say there's a fire and you're quickly moving. You can't think about things. So having a plan or entryway, exit way so that you can get out is crucial. It's also recommended that you have at least 2 entrances that you can get in and out, because that way, a lot of times it's recommended close proximity to the bedroom. It's also recommended on opposite sides of the house so that you can get out in the event of a fire. Sometimes people need ramps, and ramps could be for, if you're using a mobility device such as a wheelchair or a walker, but sometimes ramps can be very beneficial because if you have a hard time with walking and lifting your legs up, and we live in Michigan, and what happens in Michigan? We get snow, we get rain, sleet, we get it all, especially the last month. We've gotten everything, right? And so it's really, really important. And a lot of times, people think that, if there's a ramp on the house, it shows vulnerability and it shows, that I need devices. And a lot of times it doesn't. It just makes it easier. How many times have you been out shopping and there's a curb cut or the curb? How many times do you just naturally just go to the curb cut because it's easier? Why not make your house easier, right? Typically, when you have a ramp, You want to make sure that there is a level platform at the top, any turn in a ramp, and at the bottom. And that's mainly because you want to have a turning space. So let's say you forgot your keys or you forgot your cell phone. You want to be able to turn around on that ramp so that you can get there. The other thing is ramps typically are a 1 to 12 grade. So for every inch rise, you do a foot of ramp. People freak out with that because, you know, your average, and again, there's no norm for homes. You know, I go to people's homes and it might be, a step might be 6 inches. I go to other people's homes and it's 9 inches. So it just totally depends. You know, but on average, you want it a 1 to 12. Typically though, what's actually recommended is a 1 to 18. But if we did 1 to 18, that would be a very, very long ramp. So most times the average norm is 1 to 12. If it's a 1 to 8, or I'm sorry, if it's an emergency exit, it can be a 1 to 8. And basically what that means is you're just getting out of the house, okay? You're not necessarily using that to get in and out of the house. That's not only unsafe for the wheelchair user or somebody who's using a mobility device, but it's also unsafe for anybody who's walking that's just a little too steep, okay? It's only for getting out. Typically, thresholds should be beveled, and what's nice is there's a lot of, you can go to Lowe's, you can go to Home Depot, and they have like little pieces of wood that are thresholds that make it so that there isn't that step. Sometimes thresholds, like on a sliding glass door, could be 2 inches, and that is definitely a trip hazard. The other nice thing is to have your ramps be protected with inclement weather. And I say not only ramps, but any entrance into the house. If you can have it off a garage or off a porch, you know, like a porch or canopy, that is great. Because what happens when it's raining and snowing, our natural tendency is to hurry up and rush, and then we may not pay attention to what we're doing, and we're more likely to fall. So having it be protected is definitely optimal where we live. And then the other important thing with the ramp is you want to make sure that it has the appropriate edgings and rails. Rails can help if you're, let's say you do use a device and you want to keep the device in the house or in the car, you don't want to lug it back and forth. The rails can help you go up and down that ramp without difficulty. This is just some examples. You know, a lot of times people think, oh, if there's a ramp on the house, oh my gosh, you know, the aesthetics of the house is down. You know, ramps can be done very discreetly. They can be done so that you don't even know. Like if you look over here, I mean, it's a ramp, but it's going to a nice deck. It looks like a privacy thing, and you don't really know it. Sometimes you can even include it so that it's part, if you're doing a new home or if you're doing major landscaping, you can do it as part of the landscaping, and nobody even has to know that that's a ramp on the house. This one just shows, you know, basic access. To be honest, this one over here, sorry, wrong button. This one over here, it's actually kind of steep because if you look at, there's 3 steps, that's a little short. So this is more of an emergency of getting out kind of thing, okay? There's portable ramps, so you don't necessarily have to put a piece of material on the house. The thing about portable ramps is they are usually, like the one over here, it's shorter. So this rise is much higher than what the ramp would allow for. So this usually means that it's an assisted entry. So it's not like anybody could just go up and down that ramp themselves. They're going to need some assistance. The other thing is, if you look at the top, there isn't a level surface, and it's really hard to open that door up when you're on an incline. This one here is a modular ramp, and it can be rented. So if let's say you break a hip and you might need it for a longer duration, but not forever, you can always get a modular ramp, and there's different companies that you can actually rent from and get that put on the house. Other things for stair access are railings. Railings are crucial. If you have something solid to hold on to, if you have any weakness or any discoordination in your lower extremities, the rails definitely help. So having 2 rails, sorry guys. You know, installing it directly to the surface can go here. double railings. This actually is like off of a garage, and it's just to the wall so that it's solid and secure. A lot of times they can be folded up so they're out of the way too. And then of course you also have lifts if you need to. Sometimes depending on where you live, if you live in some of the older houses where there's 7, 8 steps to get into the house, you're talking a massive ramp. And so sometimes it's actually easier and more cost effective to do a lift. A lot of the modifications that I'm going to be talking about today, it's important to be aware of that they won't break the bank. There's a lot of stuff out there now that is accessible to us. 30 years ago when I first started, a lot of the modifications that I'm going to be talking about, or even some of the equipment, was so expensive. As soon as you put a medical name on something, you shoot the price up. Well, what's nice is the average person is going for convenience and ease, right? When we talk about all the things that make life easier, everyone's doing that. And so it makes it much more cost affordable for individuals. Interior doorways. Typically, if you're using a mobility device, you want to have at least a 36-inch doors. And when I do home evals, people will say, "Well, I just have the standard doorway." There is no standard doorways. Some bathrooms are 24 inches to get into the bathroom. That isn't even wide enough for a walker to get into. So, just be aware of those kinds of things. If you're doing a straight shot, you don't necessarily need a wide door because you can maybe go a little narrower because it is a straight shot. If you're doing a turn into the doorway, then you definitely need it wider. Does that make sense? Typically, you want to have at least 1.5 feet to the side of the door handle so that you can easily open it, so that you have space when you maneuver away so that the door opens. Otherwise, you again run the risk of tripping. The other important thing is, if possible, try to avoid in-swinging doors, in particular in the bathroom. And I don't know about you, but most of the places I go to, bathrooms doors all go in. So nice options for that would be using a pocket door, now they have the barn doors that you can put on the outside so you don't have to do major construction within, like pulling out the inside of the wall to get the door in there. You can just put that in, and that really gives you a lot more space in the bathroom, and it also minimizes the likelihood if you fall, how's somebody going to get to you in that room. It's nice to have the doors open in a single motion, and lever handles are great. It used to be lever handles were for individuals with discoordination, but to be honest, again, it's that convenience. My late husband had a spinal cord injury, so we had lever handles throughout our entire house. And we had to change one of the doorknobs going out of the house, and this was after he passed away. And my son put in a standard knob, and I hate that door because I got so used to the lever. It makes it so easy when I bring in groceries in to hit that thing and pop it open and go in. And now with that doorknob, I can't open it anymore. It drives me insane. We're changing it. Other things, and I can't mention this enough, with entrances, doorways, and anywhere throughout the house, having adequate lighting is a must. You're going to hear me talk about using different lights and whatever. Lighting is crucial. Think about it when you first wake up. You're a little bit out of it. Maybe you're getting up to go to the bathroom. Having adequate lighting so that you can see what you're going. I'm not saying put the exam light on or put the major hallway. I'm just saying a night light or a sensor light that will go on when you're walking is a great way to give you some lighting to see what you're doing. The key door should be separate from the door handle, again for safety. Lever handles are great. Now they have a lot of the stuff, we're going to talk a little bit later about the smart home and having doorbells that have videos. You can see who's coming. You can have automatic unlocks and stuff with that, which is a much safer thing. If you have caregivers, before, you might have a caregiver and you'd leave the door unlocked. Nowadays, who leaves their door unlocked? I mean, it's definitely making you more vulnerable. And so by having these devices, it gives you more independence and safety. Just general kitchen recommendations. You know, you want to have an area that's accessible to you. If you have decreased endurance, I always tell my patients this, you know, all of us have X amount of energy in a given day, okay? But what we want to accomplish is this amount of stuff, okay? That doesn't work. And so you really need to figure out and prioritize what's most important to you. And some of that may be, let's conserve energy. Instead of standing to cut up all the vegetables when you're making soup or a salad, sit down and do it. Have a bench or use your kitchen table as a resource so that you don't have to waste the energy for that. A lot of times, if you push yourself when you are tired, you are more susceptible for falling. What ends up happening when your muscles are fatigued, their coordination decreases, they're more likely to give out. And so if you just take that break, sit down while you're doing something, it's going to give you a lot more energy. Using things to transport items. Let's say you have difficulty with mobility and you are using a device, a cane, a walker, or whatever. It's hard to carry items. So using you know, a cart with wheels makes it a lot easier. Using, you know, set up your kitchen so that the countertop could be used as sliding things across, again, to make it easier. You know, make sure that your cabinets, you know, again, this is all great with all the new modifications to home design and rebuilding and doing whatever. There's a lot of stuff out there that used to be very expensive, but now everybody wants it because it's convenient. Having your electrical outlets not across the, you know, where you have to go in front of the stove, but it's right here at your hip level. Overhead lighting is crucial. And making sure ventilation controls or even the garbage disposal so that it's close by so that you don't have to reach and potentially fall. There's a lot of things just commercially available. I'm vertically challenged. So for me to get things on the top shelf is a challenge. And so before I had my knees replaced, I would get up on the ladder and just go get stuff. Well, I can still do that, but it's a pain. And a lot of times what I do is I move things down where I'm going to be using it the most, or I might use a reacher. And there's all kinds of reachers out there. You have these kind of hooky ones, you have suction cup, you have some that fold. I recommend having them, you know, in several different rooms because it makes it a lot more convenient and less likely for me to get up and potentially fall. Other things like if you have decreased sensation, maybe you burn yourself and you don't know you're burning because of diabetes or because of neuropathies or different things like that. That little guy called the Watcher over here, it's just a very basic device that has like a little hook and it makes it easy to pull the, we used to call it when we first started in OT school, the oven pull, push-pull, right? And it basically pulls the rack out so it makes it easy for you to get. Because I don't know about you, but my oven, it's hard to get that rail out and it's just so much easier. If you make a longer, use a longer device, then it's less force and it's easier to manage. There's all kinds of things out there for walking while carrying items. You know, for walkers, you can add cup holders, there's different bags. I see people make special ones, you can get backpacks, there's all different things. The thing you have to be careful with the bags on the walkers is that they don't get overfilled and too heavy because then they're likely to tip and it's going to be harder to maneuver. So just be cautious with that. You know, instead of lugging your laundry, get something with wheels. Make it a lot easier. These, the four-wheeled walkers now are awesome because it gives you independence if you have difficulty with some balance. It gives you that, or if your endurance is compromised. Again, if your endurance is compromised and you push yourself, you're gonna, I'm gonna hurry up and go, and yep, you're gonna hurry up and go and probably end up falling and breaking your hip. So we don't want that, right? These are nice. What's also nice about these walkers is there's a seat there. So when you get tired, you can just stop and take a break. And then, I mean, sometimes even people still maneuver themselves while they're seated. And then the other nice thing is they have the basket underneath so that you can store and carry items. All right. Some general recommendations: having a refrigerator that's side by side is easy to get to. Make sure that you have appropriate storage. Like, again, nowadays you have all the Lazy Susans, the drawers, the slide-out shelves. All are great for making it easier so that you don't have to bend down and try to, do contortion to try to get a soup pot out of the bottom. Using turntables is great. And then they have a lot of different wall-mounted racks that you can either put on the wall or you can have it so that when your cabinets open up, your stuff is right there. You want convenience, you want it close by you. Flooring, that's another key thing. Making sure, we want to make sure that what you're walking on or what you're wheeling on is safe. So you want, it's nice to have tiled or hardwood floors. If you are one who has to have carpeting, I highly recommend that you use the low pile carpeting. Your Berbers that are, they don't have a lot of padding underneath, so they're not squishy soft, but that's a good thing because squishy soft, a lot of times when you have weakness in your feet, you're likely to catch on that. So the Berbers or the low pile carpeting is great for that. Try to have different colors. Again, we talked about it. If you have low vision problems, which can happen as we age, having different colors is also a benefit because it lets you know when you're going from one room to the next. Like Karen said, you want to make sure that there aren't any obstacles or any clutter around the house, so that you don't trip on that. Having carpet, or like if you have rugs, make sure that they're non-slick. Anything that slides, catches in your walker, catches in your crutch, catches in your cane, and in the wheelchair. So get rid of those. It has to have that rubber bottom to make sure it doesn't move. Again, if your counters and your flooring are the same color, alter the color so that it's more pronounced for you, making it easier for you to see. Bathroom. Problem solved, his and hers. Seat up, seat down. Okay, other things for general recommendation, you don't have to stand to take a shower. You can always sit down, and there's all different things out there. There's shower seats with and without backs. There's little ones, there's big ones. I always hate when I go into houses and my patient will say, well, I have a seat in there. Well, yeah, it's a little corner thing that's about this big that probably a 6-year-old can sit on. I mean, that's not functional. It's great for your soap dispenser and whatever, or holding it, but it's not there for you. So look at different things that are out there. If you have a lot of problems with mobility and you are falling a lot, using a roll-in shower so that there is no lip there and you can easily go in and out of the shower. A handheld shower is the greatest invention. I don't know why we didn't think about this earlier. Handheld showers give you access, especially when you're seated, because you don't have that water beating down on you. But when you're seated, it may be hard to access, let's say, your peri area or your bottom and stuff. And so the handheld shower gets in places that wouldn't get otherwise, and it's a great, easy way of getting clean. Toilet height should accommodate either the use of a shower chair so that it makes it easier to roll over. That would be more for people who are wheelchair users. I got a typo for toilet, but sorry. Use of a bidet is another great thing. If you have arthritic changes in your shoulder and you have a hard time reaching and having a hard time cleaning, you don't want to ask your spouse or your daughter or son to wipe for you. Bidets are really great, and again, they are out there now. It's common. It's not as a faux pas like it used to be, and they work great. The comfort height of a toilet should be between 17 and 19 inches. Your standard ones that a normal builder will put in is about 15 inches. 3 to 4 inches makes a big difference when it comes to getting up and sitting down. A big difference. So this is just some of the different things. Shower seats, you have a very basic one that just fits there. This one is a transfer bench. What's nice about this is you can actually sit down and then swing your legs in. So you don't have to worry about lifting your leg up and go into the bathtub. This gets rid of that. These are, this is a roll-in shower commode. What's nice about this is, let's say you are more involved. I'm going to use this like with my spinal cord patients where they can't necessarily move their lower extremities. They transfer on to here from their bed. They sit on here, wheel into the bathroom, wheel the chair over the toilet. From the toilet, they wheel into the shower. From the shower, they go back to bed and get dressed, and then they're up in their chair for the rest of the day. And what's nice about that, if you had to do transfers from bed to wheelchair, wheelchair to commode, commode to commode to wheelchair to shower, I mean, you're talking 6 transfers. That's a lot of transferring, and it's very energy consuming. So what can you do to make life easier? And then if you don't want to have modifications to the house, you can actually use different, these are called the shower buddy, and it basically, the person transfers on here and then it slides over into the toilet, or into the bathtub. Same concept over here. So it makes it easier, minimizing the amount of transfers you have to do. Other things, look at your sink. Is it wall mounted? Is there a vanity cutout? Pedestal sinks are great because it gives you better access. If, let's say, again, you're tired and you need to sit, it's okay to put your makeup on or brush your teeth or shave while you're sitting. Who's to say? As long as it gets done, conserve your energy. You know, this just kind of looks at, this is a standard one. They just got rid of the rest of the cabinet, so low cost. They supported it back here so it's not going anywhere, and it's not expensive, but it still gives you better access. The other important thing, if you have neuropathies or any sensory loss in your lower extremities, if you are going to do a vanity like this, make sure that the pipes are not exposed. A lot of times they can move the pipe so it's on the back wall and you're not even touching it. But if it has to stay like here, where it's right there if you're sitting, make sure, oops, sorry, I need to poke you in the eye with the laser. Make sure that the pipes are well insulated so that you don't burn. And also be aware of the temperature that's on your water heater. You want to make sure that you don't scald yourself. You know, I sometimes go to people's houses and they have the temperature of the water so hot because of their dishwasher and cleaning and all that other stuff, but they forget about their own skin. And so make sure that that's not too high to prevent burns. Other things, just have things so that they're there for you. You know, using counter space, shelving, pull out things so that you have access. You don't have to do a lot of walking back and forth. You know, make sure the mirror is the right height. I did a home eval and this lady was, I say she was about 5, she was more like 4'11". And so she had her mirror put in low, and she's like, I'm so sorry because my mirror is low and it's way beyond, you know. I'm like, who's using this mirror? You are. Who cares? I'm just washing my hands and doing my thing, right? So who is the house set up for? It's set up for you. Make it be so that it's the best for you. Again, electrical switches and outlets so that they're close so that you have access. You don't have to cross things. Using grab bars for towels. What's nice is there are so many grab bars out there now, and they look cool. They look like a towel rack, and they're supported well. I can't tell you how many people will use a towel rack or a toilet paper holder as a means of support to get up. So they have a hard time getting up off that low toilet, and what do? They use that toilet paper. The problem with towel racks and toilet paper is usually they're not in studs. So when you're pushing on it, you're just basically tearing apart the drywall. And it's not safe. So what's great is a lot of times now the grab bars can be extended longer so that you can get it stud to stud. Or if you are going to invest in it and want it really durable, you know, just taking rid of some of the drywall, putting some a piece of wood in there for stability so that the grab bar can actually go in it. But the colors, the options are definitely out there. And like this toilet paper thing right here, that's a grab bar. I mean, so it looks good. It doesn't look like, oh, I'm in the hospital, but you know, it gives you stability. We talked about the bidets and things like that. Other things that are out there are grab bars. So using like the raised toilet seat that attaches to the toilet. The thing I don't like about that is that is not something that you move on and off. So if it is a restroom that multiple people in the family or visitors use, you may not want to have that. You may want to have that closer to if you have a private bathroom yourself. But you can also get foldable grab bars or fold down grab bars that fit, like right here. It could be right here on the back wall of the bathroom, and then it folds up and out of the way so people have access. There's that security pole and curve bar. It's great because it locks into place and it gets moved in different positions to give you more accessibility. This one here, it's good. If you're going to step into it, it doesn't work the greatest when you're using a tub transfer bench because it kind of gets in the way. But again, there's different reasons why you use one versus the other. Making sure that we talked about the insulation of the plumbing. Make sure that the surface is non-skid. A lot of home updates nowadays will have tile. And tile's beautiful and it's wonderful, but tile can be very, very slippery when you have soap and water. And if you're taking a shower, you're probably having soap and water. So be aware that there are strips that you can put down. There's different things that you can put on the floor to minimize the slickness of the tile. And even before you get to putting the tile in, feel what it's like when it gets wet before you actually install it. This is called the Dependabar. It actually attaches to the wall, and it too, like the curve bar, it goes in and out, so it goes with you depending on the position you're in, and it will lock into place. I like this. Being adaptable, right? How many times have you seen, gone by the road and garbage is out and they have the bedside commodes there? What else can you do with it? It's a fishing chair. All right, this just shows like curbless showers. What's nice is a lot of manufacturers nowadays, it's not a big thing to pull out a bathtub and put a roll-in shower in there. They also have the ones where it has a door and you can, it's a tub and you actually sit in it and then do a shower and actually take a bath that way. Some people are very adamant about having a bath, and there's no way that even though you tell them that it's unsafe, they're still going to do a bath. And it helps with my arthritis, or it helps with this, and I want to soak, and that's how I relax. And I don't want to take that away from you, but I don't want you falling and slipping or having difficulty getting up and out of the bathtub, so there are different options. This is actually a cool thing that came out a few years ago. It's called the shower bay, and it's a really nice thing, like to minimize home modifications, to do a bathroom modification, like to give it a complete full-blown roll-in shower kind of thing. You're talking probably at least $10,000, right? So this is a nice option if you don't have the mobility to walk, or you have and you don't mind a shower in a seated position. This is nice because it can go any room, and a lot of times. People's homes, their bed and bath are on the second floor. There might be a half bath on the main level, and maybe there's a room on the main level where they can convert it to a bedroom so that they don't have to go up and down the stairs. But where's the shower? That you don't want to give up showers for the rest of your life. So this is a nice way of still giving you that option of a shower. Basically, this, it doesn't show it. Basically, oops. This device has two hoses, one that hooks up to a standard sink, and then another hose that empties the water that's in the bottom of it back into the standard sink. So, and it goes long duration. It's, from what I've heard, it does a really nice job. It doesn't leak, because some of the things that they had before this, it would leak and cause damage to the floor and stuff, and this doesn't. So it's another nice option that's out there. The bedroom, you want to make sure that you have adequate space around the bed. I think a lot of times the bedroom is the place of collecting things, right? We have clothes that we don't want to get rid of because you never know when you might have that. So you have these bins of clothes or in the closet. You have stuff around the bed because it's easy access. It's just a lot of times a trip hazard. So it's really important that you get rid of that stuff and have that good access. Again, if you need to get out in an emergency, you don't want to deal with all the clutter. So making sure you have adequate space. And then the other thing is having adequate space around the bed is beneficial when you're changing the linens on the bed, right? You don't want to be reaching up and over and climbing on the bed to put the sheets down and all that other stuff. So you want to have good access. Organizing your bedroom so that things are most accessible to you. You know, there's so many things out there now for closets. You know, you have your, IKEA, Lowe's, and Home Depot, and Menards. They all have their stuff. Basically, you pick and choose what you want that's going to be accessible. And what's nice is a lot of times the showrooms or the floors, they have it so you can actually practice it and see what would be beneficial for you or not. It's nice to have your phone in close proximity to you. A lot of people don't have landlines anymore. They're just using their cell phone. So again, have that in close proximity if you need assistance. Making sure that there's appropriate lighting, having smoke detectors and carbon monoxide for adequate warning in the event of an emergency. Other things that are out there, people say, well, I have a hard time getting out of bed, and you know, it'd be so nice if I had a rail, but I don't want a hospital bed. Well, I don't want you to have a hospital bed either. So there are different things out there. The bed rail is here, and it basically slides underneath the mattress, and it gives support, because as you're sitting there, you're putting weight there on the rail, plus the two legs on the ground, and it gives you support so that you can pull yourself up. Some people use furniture, nightstand, which is great if you have solid furniture, but if you don't, that's, again, a risk for falling. This is nice because a lot of times, you know, I always tell people when they go buy furniture, make sure you try it out and, you know, check to see what's easy to get up and off of. And it may be for you, it may be for your family member, it may be for you down the road, but furniture squishes. And as you squish, it's lower. If it's lower, it's harder to get up of. So, you know, this is a nice little device that allows you to still be able to do that. Because everyone's like, there's nowhere, I mean, everybody has that chair at their house or that couch or that one spot on their couch that's their spot where you come home and you just go, there's nothing worse than if you can't get out of that and you need help. So this gives you that. Hallways and stairways. 2 handrails, one on each side is crucial, in particular with the stairs. You know, sometimes just having that handrail gives you more stability as you're getting up and down. Lighting. I can't emphasize that enough. You know, seeing where you're going. When we're walking, when we're moving, we need to use as many senses as possible. And so oh boy, I have to talk fast now. So you want to make sure that you can visually see what you're doing so that minimizes falls. We talked about that. Other accommodations to the stairs might be a stair glide. I like this, stair lift to heaven, an old rocker. You know, there's different options. You've got the stair lift. What's nice about this one here, it can go up a straight staircase, or it does a bend or a curve if needed. This is a platform, so the bad thing about this is if you use a mobility device, you have to have a mobility device on the one level as well as the upper level. If it's a wheelchair, more than likely you need 2. If it's a walker, a lot of times you can just hold on to it while you're traversing up and down. The platform lift, again, is for a straight shot. There's no turns with this, but the person doesn't have to transfer onto that. And then, of course, you have elevators that can also be installed. Typically with that, you want to make sure that, you know, you have plenty of space. Elevators, you're looking at a minimum of $40,000, if not more. The stair glides, a lot of times they're about $5,000 to $7,000, but it gives you a lot more independence. There are people who don't want to move. They want their bedroom upstairs. That is what it is. So how do we get up there, right? Smart home, remote control possibilities, it's endless. Who has an Alexa? Who has Google? Are they not the best? my husband's an engineer, and so of course we had to have, he's a computer science engineer, so we had to have all this stuff, right? And at first I'm like, we don't need this. I'm telling you, it's the greatest thing. Turn the light on. I talked about lights. All you have to do is when you're getting up at night, say, hey, turn the hallway light on. Poof, it's open, right? You don't even have to think about it. When I come into the house and I forgot to put the lights on so I can see. You know, it's so convenient. You can do different things, like you have the call systems so that you can hook it up so that it can call somebody if you need assistance. You have, you know, you've got this here, the I've fallen and I can't get up button. Everybody knows that. You know, your phone or your watches nowadays can do that. I mean, you can literally hit a button. The big thing is, I was talking with one of the people at my table, is convincing people to use this stuff. A lot of times people think, oh my gosh, it's technology, there's no way I can figure it out. I'll tell you, I'm typically not a technology person. My son always is like, oh mom, come on, let me show you how to do this. But they're pretty easy to figure out, and once you get it, you're not going to go back. You're going to love it, you're going to want to use it all the time. You know, I talked about security, like having smart locks or having a voice doorbell so you can see who's there and they can respond to you, and you know whether or not to let them in, or if it's, you know, somebody who could potentially be harming you and stuff. So the other nice thing is the climate control. If you, you know, you just got all comfortable in bed and you want the thermostat turned up or down, you can just say, hey Google, or hey Lexi, you know, turn the thermostat down by 2 degrees, and poof, it's done. Awesome. The other thing is, if you have cognitive deficits and forget things, like as I have, can't remember stuff, CRS, you know, you can leave yourself notes and talk to it and say, hey, you know, this, or what do I have on the schedule, or what's the weather going to be like so I can dress appropriately. Great stuff. Just more smart tech. A touch lamp. If you don't want the high-tech stuff, even having a touch lamp so you can just touch it and it's right at the bed, so you got light. Baby monitors are a great way of interacting with other people in the house so that you don't have to holler. And there's a lot of different things with that. This is just that. This is the OT checklist that Sue talked about. That is a handout for you guys. And it's nice just to go through your house and kind of look and see what's accessible, what you might need help with, what is kind of a red flag to you. Other questions, or I know you guys are probably saying, well, where do I get these people from? You know, how do I do that? You can contact the National Association of Home Builders. The number's here and the website is there. And you can ask for contractors and OTs that specialize in certified aging in place specialist. And they're actually certified in that so that they can help you look at the big picture of how long, you know, you're going to stay in your house forever, so what do you need to do? Occupational therapists can also look at medical needs because we have a medical background, and so, you know, we have training with that, whereas a contractor doesn't have the medical, but they'll still have the CAP certification. These are some resources, just some websites that will help you, and it describes a little bit about them. More resources, and then any questions, and my email if you have any questions. Over here.
When builders in Ann Arbor started doing the aging in place 10, 15 years ago, I didn't think we were going to last, so I did a lot of this. We had a main floor bathroom, got rid of a closet, put in a stacked washer and dryer. Might want to consider that. If people try to talk you into, and the other thing we did, and I'm glad we did it way back then because he was having heart surgery 10 years ago, said, we're going to get a generator. I don't want you to have cardiac surgery in the middle. Glad we did it. Don't let them talk you into a whole house generator. You only need part of a house generator. You know, that was number 2. The other third thing was water heater. Consider if you're doing an on-demand water heater, saves you lots of money, hot water fast. We had that for over 10 years. And those were part of our suggestions for a long time, so that's it.
That's awesome.
Those were just things that we actually did already and have lived with and liked, so just for what it's worth. Yeah.
Yep.
What advice would you have for people who are going home, say, after hip replacement, or something that is more short-term, but you think these things are very key to them being successful at home and safe at home, but for kind of a shorter duration kind of thing?
What I would recommend is either an occupational therapy consult while you're in the hospital, but unfortunately people are in and out within a day, so that doesn't happen. Sometimes though, some of the programs, they're actually doing education before you actually have your hip surgery, if it's a planned surgery. If it's an accident, well, you don't have that option. But you can also advocate for yourself and ask for an occupational therapy consult for home. So when you get home, you can ask for that, or you can also do outpatient, like the Burlington. There's different places where you can just ask for OT, and they can go over aging in place and home accessibility for you, maximizing your independence. And they might go over other things specific to like a hip replacement, like equipment and things like that, to allow you to be independent. But advocate for yourself, because it's been 35 years that I've been at the hospital, and things have changed so much, as we all know. And you have to advocate for yourself way more than you ever had to. And the goal is to get people in and out of that hospital, because that's how they make money. Even though we're nonprofit, that's how they make money, right? And so it's quick and easy, get them out. If we don't have to do the consult people, i.e. OT, PT, different people like that, then we make more money. So make sure that you advocate, and if you can't do it yourself, then you have a family member or a good friend or a spouse or whoever do that for you. It's crucial.
Is that covered by insurance?
The OT, typically it is, yes. If there's a reason, like a hip replacement, yeah, that would be covered. Yep.
I have a family member that has the macular degeneration and is probably going to go blind. Any advice?
The big thing is looking at the lighting within the house, looking at the color changes. Something that is all the same color makes it really, really difficult to see. So having different colors is optimal for that. Lighter versus, yeah. The big thing with color is contrasting. So a light versus a dark. A subtle difference won't really be picked up by the person, but having more contrasting colors is definitely beneficial. Yes?
Yeah, I would just like to say for the person who asked the question about the temporary, if you don't have a family member or someone at home, get a caregiver. It's worth the price to help you take a shower, if nothing else.
So the question or the comment was, let's say you have a hip replacement, it's important to get a caregiver if you can't do it yourself, because taking a shower is crucial. The sad thing is healthcare or insurance doesn't think that a shower is medically necessary. Hello?
It'll cost, but it's worth it.
It is totally worth it. And again, I always say, people can be on a limited budget, and so you want to look and see what things are. Even adding a tub bench, they're under $50. A lot of times you can get them for $40 on Amazon. Amazon, let me tell you, you can get lots of stuff on Amazon. So you can look, a lot of times you can look in the adaptive equipment, like Performance Health, I think I gave that as a resource. You can look on Amazon and find the same thing a heck of a lot cheaper. So again, when that medical term is there, they shoot the price up. So go cheap. I don't mean, you know what I mean. You could be more cost effective that way. And having care is crucial. Typically, insurance won't cover an aide to come in and help that, but a lot of times you can do word of mouth to see if there's people who might have a caregiver. You can do a thing on the internet now, like just looking for an attendant to help with some bathing and that kind of stuff, and put that out there. If you are hiring somebody, just be aware, you might want to hire or talk to them on the phone or meet in a public spot. Don't let them necessarily come to your house, because if you decide that, I don't really want this person in my house, you don't want them knowing where you live. So just be cautious with that.
You flashed through, because of time constraints, a couple of pages of useful resources. Perhaps those can be put on the UMRA website for us to consult later?
The PowerPoint is there, so it will be included in that.
Okay, but then you have to go through the whole PowerPoint to get to the last 2 pages.
Okay. We'll get it. All right, thank you.
Okay, everybody, thank you, Patty. That was incredibly great. And we will have the video online in the YouTube channel, and I'll ask to have the PDF put up on the UMRA website so that you can look at those resources specifically. Inside the back cover of the AARP booklet that's going to be out at lunchtime, it does talk about how you can find the National Association of Home Builders website, where they will list contractors. You can put in Ann Arbor, whatever town you have in Michigan, wherever you live. And it'll give you a list of contractors who have CAP certification. So they don't just swing a hammer, but they understand the need to strongly reinforce grab bars and things like that. They may not have medical training though, but you can look for an occupational therapist that has either a background in home assessments or the CAP certification. So there's lots of resources. And there are also some areas in local cities or villages that have a loan closet for some of these items that you only need on a temporary basis. I know Faith in Action for one in Dexter, Chelsea area is a resource for that. And there are lots of other places. Patty?
Churches are really good too.
Yeah, churches are a great resource for temporary needs.
And one other place in Ann Arbor, we have, used to be the Ann Arbor Center for Independent Living.
Now they're called the Disability Network of Washtenaw, Monroe, and Livingston County. They also have a loan closet.
Great, thank you, Patty. So what we're going to do now is take a 10-minute break. During that time, Weber's is going to come around and put rolled silverware at your spot, so please let that just sit until lunchtime. We'll see you in 10 minutes.